Everyone, my name is Haley, and today I will be talking about the Navajo Nation water crisis. I'll first start with a little bit of background information. Though it is not technically a part of the U.S., the Navajo Nation occupies portions of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. The Navajo Nation gained its independence from the U.S. on April 16, 1868, and it is considered a sovereign Native American nation. The current water crisis in the Navajo Nation is deeply rooted in settler colonialism and has been extended into today due to federal policies. For example, the Navajo Nation was excluded from negotiations in the Colorado River Compact of 1922, which decided how much of the Colorado River each state had rights to. The government also limited the land area of the Navajo to a very dry area of their ancestral homeland that suffers from constant drought. In addition, the water supply is depleted even more due to the United States' uranium mining that occurred during the Cold War. This contaminated wells and springs and created health problems for the Navajo like cancer and kidney disease. Overall, the Navajo Nation has a lack of access to safe running water to be used for drinking, cooking, and sanitation. In fact, Navajo people are 67 times more likely to live without running water or plumbing compared to other Americans, and this is a serious public health issue. This water crisis has a big impact on the Navajo people. Due to the lack of piped water, residents have to haul water back to their homes from regulated water sources, though some do have to resort to unregulated sources where they risk bacterial contamination and excessive uranium in their water, as I mentioned before. Lack of basic resources like running water does create a cycle of poverty, which can limit opportunities for health and education for Navajo people. Scarcity of running water has been a consistent public health issue for the Navajo Nation for many generations, which has just been amplified even more by the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Having access to running water became even more essential during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the water crisis in the Navajo Nation created a lack of basic sanitation for washing hands and increased the risk of exposure for people. Hauling water back from communal wells or going out to buy bottled water from one of the only 13 grocery stores in the Navajo Nation created issues for the spread of COVID-19. In fact, in May 2020, the Navajo Nation surpassed the infection rate of New York City, which was considered an epicenter of the pandemic at the time. And though there is a much smaller population, there was the highest per capita infection rate in the U.S. Also, the combination of COVID-19 and the water crisis disproportionately affected the elderly population in this area, who are the carriers of Navajo tradition and culture, so this loss had a large impact. Since the COVID-19 pandemic amplified the water crisis issue in the Navajo Nation, the government and other organizations have had more momentum to make changes to reduce these impacts. For example, since 2003, the Indian Health Service, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Housing and Urban Development organizations have worked to provide drinking water for 3,000 homes, which has reduced the amount of people without piped water from 30% to 15%. Other organizations like the Navajo Nation EPA have added more regulated water hauling points around the nation. During the pandemic, it is difficult to create long-term changes, but for the future, the Navajo Nation hopes to invest in wastewater systems and solar filtration systems. One of the main drivers for change for the water crisis is the organization Navajo Water Project. The Navajo Water Project is a program of the Dig Deep Right to Water Project, which is a non-profit organization that brings running water to the Navajo Nation and other communities across the United States. Starting in 2014 with only 250 families in New Mexico, the program has expanded into Utah and Arizona. They work by installing home water systems outside homes with large cisterns of water, and they also deliver this water to the homes, which reduces the spread of COVID at these collection sites. This is considered a medium-term fix, meaning it's not best for the long term, but it's solving the current issue of getting clean water to homes while also creating stable jobs. If you want to get more involved, I have linked the donation page for Dig Deep since they do run entirely by donations, and then I have here the message that the Navajo Water Project wants to put out into the world, showing that they're starting with the Navajo Nation, bringing running water to their homes. All right, and then this is my works cited. Thank you so much for listening.